Hello folks, welcome to my channel, and today's topic is basically synchronized keyword. In Java, there are some few myths or there are some few misconceptions about the synchronized keyword, and we will try to deal with those things, and we'll try to explain very precisely how the synchronized keyword work in Java. If you have some doubts, please watch this video. You will clearly get the answers by the end of this video. So let's go to the IntelliJ and just write a very simple multi-threaded code. Welcome to IntelliJ. Now let's see, we have a very simple example here. We have two threads, T1 and T2. Let me also pass the same runnable inside this thread, and then we are going to start our T1.start, T2.start, and before that we have a simple task. The task is just going to print this great show, and then the thread is going to sleep for 2000 milliseconds, which is equivalent to 2 seconds, and we have just provided a very simple sleep, and we have not catch anything, so that we do not have to deal with this interrupted exception in our code. Our code should look clean. So what is synchronized keyword? The definition of synchronized keyword is simple, that if one thread is executing a piece of code guarded by synchronized, then no other threads can enter that guarded piece of code. So this is a classical example of synchronized keyword. And before continuing with this video, I want to guess the behavior of this program. So there are two options in it. If the thread T1 enters line number 12 first, it is going to print great show, then it's going to sleep for 2 seconds, and when the thread T1 has exited the line number 15, then only the thread 2 can come and take the lock on 12, and then it could print great show and wait for 2000 seconds, and basically then the program will terminate. Or the thread T1 will come, it will print great show. At the same time, thread 2 will also come and print the great show. It will not wait for the thread T1 to complete its execution. It doesn't matter, it doesn't care about the synchronized keyword anymore. So there are two ways, and we need to guess which one is correct. And if your answer is the first one, that the thread 2 is going to wait for the thread T1 to complete its execution, then you are thinking in a wrong way. You are missing a very critical piece of information which we will discuss in this video. So before that, let's run this program, and we clearly see both the threads will print the great show in an instant. Great show, and now the both threads are sleeping for 2 seconds, and they will more or less finish their sleeping in exactly the same time. Only few milliseconds will be here and there, and then my JVM has exited. Let me run this again. Great show, 2 seconds, and then the JVM terminates. So what's the issue here? The issue is basically we need to make sure that synchronize is happening on some kind of an object locks. So to explain this, let me go here. So the locks are being taken on objects, which we could say these are the instances of a class. Suppose I have class A, and I have A object, B object, and I have C object, and then I have a synchronized on this A object. And if the thread T1 is trying to come here on the synchronized of A, it will take a lock of object A, which we say monitor in Java terms. So T1 thread will of course take the lock on A, and if suppose thread T2 is coming, and if T2 wants to also run this piece of synchronized block of code, but it needs, I will just say not here, I will say the T1 wants to take the lock on A object, and this signifies that this is A object here. It will of course take the lock and it will execute, and if T2 is coming with an object B, because now this signifies B, then T2 will say, hey, I want to run this piece of code, but I want to take a lock on B object. Then the T2 will come and it will start executing it. It will not wait for T1 to finish, because T1 has taken lock on A object and not on B object. So this is a very critical piece of information. So in this our code, let's analyze this. So this, and also let me just bring this so well. So our thread T1 has come and taken the lock on this object, and this key basically signifies this thing, object 1, and of course this is an instance of class object. It is executing its piece of code T1 while taking the lock on object 1. T2 comes and T2 says, hey, I want to take a lock on this object 2 and not on the object 1, and the JVM says yes, hey, you can also execute at the same time, because T1 is executing but it has a lock on object 1. You want to execute with the help of object 2, so you can also go and execute, doesn't matter where is it T1 in this guarded piece of code. So now how we could fix this here is very simple. I will just take this object and key and new object, and this key needs to be same. Now my synchronized of course is protected because the key is same for both the threads. And let's run this program again. Yes, great show, 2 seconds sleep, another great show, 2 seconds sleep, and then the JVM exited. So clearly we have seen the locks are being taken on the instances of a class and not just class. There is one more piece of information which I need to share here. We can also take class level lock, because in Java we have a class object. For every class we have a dedicated object called class. So basically this object just holds the information regarding the metadata of this class, but this remains only a single piece of object for a single class. We could have multiple instances of that class, but only one class object. So if we take the lock on class itself, suppose I want to take this class, then I don't need to pass this, and I could just remove this and remove this, and it will still work because this object.class is same for object class. Great show. 2 seconds sleep, then great show, 2 seconds sleep, and that's it. So we need to make sure while we are synchronizing our block of code, we need to really understand we are taking a lock on which object. And if we want to prevent our that block of code, like only single thread can execute that critical piece of code, then we need to make sure that the lock which we are trying to take with the help of synchronized keyword needs to be on the same object, or it has to be a class level lock. So I hope you get the gist. Till then, see you in the next video. Till then, bye bye.